Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we're gonna be carrying on our inventory series. And what we did here, if you guys remember, is that every time now we add and pass the player here, we have a counter. The only problem is that when the player leaves the range, that item, the number doesn't decrease, and that's a problem, right? So let's fix that issue right now. So what I would like to do here is that on the item, let's start from the item here. We always started from the item anyway. Is that what I would like to do is I want to basically make sure that we do the same from when the player leave the range. So that's super easy as well. What we're doing here is that every time we have an event called on end overlap, and we basically literally need to copy and paste this stuff. We put it here and this one right there. Simple. That's it. Now we need to do a reverse logic of that. So if you go back to our BPC inventory and we go to the interactions, we have one actor interaction. What we can actually do here is that we can change this name. We can actually do a similar one. So I'm going to select all of them and paste here. I'm going to just I'm just going to copy here. And instead of being overlap, is end overlap. Is that how it's called? It's called end overlap. Yes. And then what we do here is the same. We just do server, and here it's gonna be the client. If you're creating a single player game, you don't have to do all these 3 events. It's just because I probably would like this to also work with multiplayer. So let's say you're trying to get some kind of a co-op game or something. So it's quite useful to have all those events here. Anyway, now we already know which item that we want to remove, right? So all we do from here is that we just remove item. We do right here, we plug it, this value right there, right? And then from here is the same logic, right? We just do that. And then from here we call the server and the player and all that stuff. And now here we can call when the actor leave the object range, right? What I normally like to do is that for adding, I like to highlight as green. And then for removing, I like to highlight as red. So I always know the red deletes and green adds. So this is just a easy way to spot certain things. And now here we just need to call the method called API and overlap client. Make sure you call in the client, yeah. And then this is just gonna be self because it's the reference from himself. And the way we can test this is working is that, for example, if I enter here, I should have 1. If I leave it, I should have 0. But if I go here on this circle, I should have 2. Now I should have 0. And I think, well, if I come here, right to this, I should have 3. Yes, because everything overlaps. But as you can see, the items are leaving and coming out of the range. Really useful thing to do. One thing, guys, that we have opportunity here to create what I like to call a debug mode. So we're going to create this debug mode, which is going to be a message that we're going to be reusing to display this kind of information. Every time that something happens, we can call this debug, and this doesn't matter. This can run on the client side. And what I would like to do here is that before I do anything else, we have this inventory settings, right? So we got the settings. Let me just go back to widget. What is it? Variables. We have the inventory settings. What I'm gonna use here, I'm gonna add a new variable, and this is gonna be called debug mode. All right, and this is gonna be, of course, default to false. But now what I can actually do, I'm gonna save everything. On the data tables, actually, yes, okay, in the data tables for my player, I can trigger this and say this, mark this as on. Now on the inventory items, what I can actually do here, I'm going to create a function, and this is going to be called fn debug message. All right, and I am just gonna call this inside the debug, and this is gonna be very useful for us to debug certain things. For example, right now you would like to maybe debug what items it was in contact or not. So what we can actually do here is that we can, instead of call debug message, we can debug item interaction. And now what we can do here is we can actually pass the item, which is going to be the interaction item, BP base interaction. So we pass the class, and we can maybe add something here, is adding, right? This is going to be a boolean. And then what we can do here is that we create a branch, and we get, for example, the inventory settings. I think it's coming from here. So we get the settings, or break here, and we break here as well, right? And then what we can actually do here is that we just need the debug mode, and we can create a branch, which already is. So if it's true, if you are in debug mode, then what we can do here is that we're just gonna print, and then we can print here something like, let's say, append. Let's say you can even do, I'm just trying to do maybe a select. So if we are adding, right, we can do a couple of things. So we can append here, adding item, and then you just plug this one right here, right? And if it's not, we add it right here. And we have something like removing, right? Removing item, blah, blah, blah. So what happened now is that what we can actually do here is that when we are calling the interactions, right, we can call this function, the debug one, and we can just, of course, pass the item. And here we can do the same, right? And it will only work if we are on debug. So right now you see, adding, removing. It's just so we know that we are on debug, which is very handy to have, right? But anyway, so I think we are all set right now. Now the next step that we need to do here is to actually get the item, right? And to do that, we need to basically create here a logic which will do that for us. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pause the video right now. And then on the next one, I'm going to carry on with the logic to add the item. So once again, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one.